Yo, RX back with another breakdown of UFC Mexico Moreno versus Rival 2. We back with another breakdown, and it's a pretty good fight night. That's fucking thankfully not in the Apex, so yeah, it's always good to break down a fight night that's not in the Apex because the card it's gonna be good most time. This card's decent. Some good fights on it, and maybe some fights that will be good that we don't even know about. That could surprise us how good they are. So yeah, we're back to fight nights. For only 2 weeks, and we got pay-per-view. So, but that's besides the point. The point is, we back to break down UFC Mexico. We are back. We head to Mexico for the first time since 2019, I believe, which is cool. And yeah, not really much else to say unless I'm going to say something. Please like, comment, subscribe. 100 subs goal by the end of 2024. And let's get into it, shall we? Let's break down some fights. Quick, easy intro. Don't need to say anything else. 13 fights in total. A lot of prelims. Let's start off with of course, the opening fight of the night in the men's featherweight division, as we have Muhammad Hillman Naimov versus Erik King Silva. Not really a great fight to begin tonight. Not a fight that really makes much sense either. I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, it's a fight. So let's talk about Muhammad Naimov. Muhammad in the UFC is 2-0. Really shouldn't be 1-1. He stepped on a short nose to fight Jay Malarkey last year, and he did win. I think it was a questionable stoppage, but whatever. He didn't look good in that fight. He was losing, and then he did clip him. It's Jay Malarkey. We know he gets fucking clipped every fight. And then he fought Nathaniel Wood, moving back down to featherweight, his real weight class, and yeah, he won, but it was some of the worst reffing I've ever seen. The amount of fucking fouls he got away with is insane, and that fight should have been at bare minimum a draw, if not a Wood win, because Naimov should have had like 4 points taken away or just disqualified after a while. But shitty reffing's gonna be shitty reffing. Yeah, shitty reffing. But yeah, on paper he's 2-0, really he's 1-1, and I don't know, he's no great fighter. Like I said, against Malarkey, upper weight class, he was clearly losing. Against Wood, he didn't even look that good. He had to cheat his way to a win. So, is that even a win? No. And yeah, I'm just not impressed with him. Especially after his last fight, I think he's a fucking asshole. And I guess we'll see if he can actually have a good performance for once, because so far 0-2 on the good performances. So yeah, I don't think much of Naimov, nothing good at least, and I guess we'll see. To talk about his opponent, Erik Silva. Erik is 0-1 in the UFC. In his UFC debut, coming off the Contender Series, he got beat up by TJ Brown, and then he took all of 2023 off, and now he's back for 2024. Erik on the Contender Series looked really good. He got a first round finish, of course. I think it was against a dude who's not even a featherweight. I think he's like a fucking bantamweight or some shit. I remember hearing Dana not happy about this fight after the fight, but yeah, he did get to win on Contender Series, and then he made his debut not long after against TJ Brown and looked like shit. Gas tank looked terrible, striking looked terrible, grappling looked terrible. He just got outclassed in every sense of the word by TJ Brown. TJ Brown. Really, dude? I don't know if TJ Brown's still in the fucking UFC. He's so bad. Like, dude, you gotta look better when you're fighting TJ Brown. So, whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of red flags for Erik. I just told you about his fucking fight TJ Brown that showed every red flag imaginable. He's also 36 years old, coming off a 1.5 year layoff. So that's another L in that department. I'm not seeing any positives with Erik. Like, no matter, like, even his contender series fight's kind of fucking irrelevant now. Yes, he knocked out a dude, but fuck, it was TJ Brown schooled you in every facet of MMA. So maybe Erik has got better over this 1.5 years, but I doubt it. Again, dude's been out of fighting for 1.5 years at 36 years old. That's gonna go bad. I feel like we just saw someone fucking last week, or like not long ago, come back after a long layoff in their late 30s, and it's never gonna go well. At these older ages, especially in these lower weight classes, being out for a long time it's really gonna fucking affect you. And we'll see how bad it affects Silva here, but I doubt it's gonna go really good for him. He's a shit fighter anyway. So what the fuck is a 1.5 year layoff gonna do for him? Probably nothing good. So I don't know. I don't have much faith in Erik to even look good in this fight, let alone win. And maybe he'll shut me up, but I don't have much faith. So, and by the way, this fight doesn't even make fucking sense. So if we're just going off records alone, Naimov has won 2 fights in UFC, Malarkey and Nathaniel Wood, 2 pretty good wins. Erik Silva lost a 1.5 years ago to TJ Brown, and he's fighting a dude who, what the fuck is this matchmaking? Erik Silva should be fighting like should be fighting like, I don't know who's shitty at featherweight right now. Some fucking bum at featherweight, or even a new guy. Naimov should be fighting like fucking Cub Swanson or some shit. Why the fuck is Naimov getting this giant step down? Just going logically, like, yes, he did lose that Wood fight, or should have been a draw. But even if he did lose that Wood fight, this fight doesn't make sense. So, was Naimov the only dude who was fucking down to fight this can? I'm confused. I'm going into another rant, and my fucking Dern rant last week, then twice, then I don't know. Whatever. I'll just get to the next part of this breakdown. The betting odds. Naimov is minus 280 to plus 225. I agree. I do. No joke. Naimov could be like minus 500. Like, he's probably, I would say, the second easiest, like the second lock of the night. If I had to pick another, like, because he's not my lock, but if who my lock wasn't on the card, Naimov would probably be my lock of the night, just because Silva is so bad. And I don't think a 1.5 year layoff for a 36-year-old who sucks anyway, and he's fighting a dude much younger, is gonna go very well for him. So, of course, my pick here, as much as I hate to pick this dude after that Wood fight, I want to get my pick right more than anything. I am going to go Muhammad Naimov to get a win here, and I'm going to go, I was leaning decision, but the more I broke down this fight, the more I realized, why the fuck is Naimov not going to finish this dude? So, I'm going to start the night off with a Muhammad Naimov, probably knockout in the second? Because by that point, Silva's gonna be gassed. And he's never been knocked out. Yeah, I'm going Muhammad Naimov by knockout in the second. I think that he will be able to, I was gonna say survive the early minutes of Silva, but Silva doesn't even look good in the early minutes. I think he got dropped in like the first 10 seconds against TJ Brown. So, I'm gonna go Naimov by knockout in a second. By that point in the fight, Silva will be very tired, and Naimov should be able to finish Silva pretty easily. I won't be shocked at a submission either, but I'm gonna go with a knockout. I think that's gonna be the easier pass for Naimov, so that's what I think that's what I think is gonna happen. I'm going Muhammad Naimov by knockout in a second. Pretty easy prediction to start the night for a pretty questionable booked fight. So Muhammad Naimov by knockout in a second. After that, we had to flyweight for the first good fight of the night, and this fight could easily be really good. I would not be shocked. Like, this could easily be the best prelim on the card, and could easily end the night as one of the best fights to have happened on the card, because this should be fun. as we had to flyweight for our second fight of the night between Victor El Magnifico Altamirano versus Felipe Detona dos Santos. Very good fight here. This could be really fun. Let's talk about Victor Altamirano, the first Mexican on the card, and we have Victor coming in at a 2-2 record in the UFC, who he did win on Contender Series. His 2 wins in the UFC are Daniel Lacerda and Vinicius Salvador. His two losses are Carlos Hernandez and Tim Elliott. For his 2 wins, he beat 2 really terrible fighters. For his 2 losses, the Hernandez fight was really close, and then Tim Elliott just wrestled him for 15 minutes. So, yeah, Victor's wrestling defense and wrestling in general is really terrible. The Elliott fight showed that. Tim Elliott, who's not even Tim Elliott's a pretty good wrestler, but he's no fucking Khabib, and Elliott just kept taking him down at will, and that was that for that fight. Altamirano's a solid fighter. If you're striking with him, he's gonna be a little dangerous. He's a pretty decent striker, but he's no great fighter. Like I said, even the Ortega fight, he got hurt pretty bad. He had to survive. And the Salvador fight, he looked good, but Salvador's a very bad fighter. And again, he looked pretty whatever against Carlos Hernandez. He's a fun, like I said, he's a very, I think maybe even a below average fighter, because when you add in his lack thereof ground game, then I definitely think it knocks down as good as his striking is. And his striking, just his striking, yeah, he's an average fighter, but then with terrible wrestling, it goes down. So, yeah, I don't know, not much to say about Altamirano. I don't think he's a pushover, but he's definitely no great fighter. So, but his only 2 wins in UFC so far against 2 Brazilians, and he's fighting a Brazilian. Interesting. Let's see what sorry about that. Let's see what Altamirano can do in this fight against a striker. So, yeah. And then to talk about his opponent, Felipe dos Santos. Felipe in the UFC is 0-1, and in his UFC debut on short notice, he stepped in and fought Manuel. We all remember that fight. Great fight. Felipe took Cop to the limit, and it was a good fight. He clearly lost, but he definitely took Cop to the limit. And on very short notice to do that to Manuel Cop is very impressive. Felipe's a decent fighter. He really impressed me, and I think everyone else in that fight. 23 years old, to step in and fight Manuel Cop, who was, especially at that time, really popular, on pay-per-view no less, and take him to the limit. Really impressive there. And he looked good. He hurt Cop a few times. He looked really impressive. And ever since that fight, I remember I literally said during that fight, I can't wait to see this dude on a full camp. I think we all thought that. Because again, he looked fucking amazing in that fight. And don't mind that. To take a top 7, 8 ranked guy who could fight for the title this year to the limit, I'm impressed. So he's a really good striker. We didn't really see the ground game in that fight too much, maybe a little bit, but of course he has a good ground game. I doubt he'll really use it in this fight. He seems to want to strike more than anything. But maybe if he wants to go for the path of least resistance, I definitely think going to the ground with Altamirano is the easiest way to win this fight. But I don't know if that is going to be the path he decides to go. We will see. But yeah, I'm very excited to see Felipe in this fight on a full camp, and I guess we'll see how he performs on a full camp. Will he be like a Rafa Garcia, who somehow looks shittier on a full camp after their debut? We'll see. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting fight, a fun fight. The betting odds for this fight have Felipe dos Santos minus 285 to plus 230. I might take that down a little bit. I would probably move Felipe down to maybe minus 2... I like 220. 220 sounds good, and plus 200 for Vic. I think that makes a lot more sense. Because, if they are going to strike, I definitely think those betting odds fit better. If Felipe goes in here with a game plan to take Altamirano down, then yeah, I think a bigger favorite definitely makes sense. But I think minus 220 is better for that, because I really don't see Felipe shooting for takedowns here. I think he is going to want to strike, and if he does, I think he'll still win, but I don't think it would be I don't think it would be the easiest, so maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see. But yeah, of course, I'm going with Felipe dos Santos here. I think he'll be able to just be a better striker. His gas tank looked really good against Cops. Vic's gas tank ain't very great. Yeah, I'm going Felipe dos Santos to win this fight. I think he will outstrike Vic and get the W, so I'm going Altamirano. I'm going Felipe dos Santos by decision. So, yeah, should be a fun fight. Could easily be a banger. I'm excited for that one. But, yeah. After that, we stay in flyweight for a little bit of a step down in talent in this fight. Maybe a little bit of a step down, if not a jump off a fucking cliff. As we head to our third fight of the night, staying in the flyweight division, as we have Luis Lazy Boy Rodríguez versus Denny's Psycho Bondar. Am I saying Denny? Am I saying his first name right? It's Denny's. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I think the last fight's a little better. Maybe it's just me, but I think maybe I don't know much about this dude, but I highly doubt he's as good as Felipe or even Altamirano. So whatever. Let's just talk about the fight, and let's start off with the Mexican in this fight, and as we won pretty much every fight tonight. And as we start with Luis Rodríguez, who is making his UFC debut here. Luis was on Contender Series a couple years ago, did lose to Jerome Rivera, which is a really bad loss, because Jerome Rivera fucking sucks. But since he's went 5-0, not the most impressive wins, but he does have like 3 5-1, 5-0 guys in a row. Not bad. So I guess he has got. I don't remember his fight in Contender Series, but I'm guessing he's probably got better since that fight, because if he's that same dude that fought Jerome, I highly doubt he'd have won any of these fights. But maybe he's gotten better. I would be shocked if he hasn't. So, and he's clearly the UFC sees something in him to give him just a contract in a fight, no Contender Series or anything. So maybe he's good. Maybe he's gotten better. You really have to impress me after losing to Jerome Rivera. I know that was 4 years ago, but come on, you gotta do better than that. So yeah, that's about all I can say. The only debuting fighter on the card. Let's see how he does. They gave him a very easy debut, so he should be able to look good. Will he? I don't know. And now to talk about his opponent, as I was just saying, a very easy debut, as we go to Denny's Bondar. Oh Christ. He is 0-2 in the UFC, and he has looked like shit in the UFC. In his UFC debut, he got his arm snapped by Malcolm Gordon. Yeah, but freak injury, loss, whatever. I can slide out under the rug. Then, in his last fight against Carlos Hernandez, he got fucking annihilated. He looked like shit the whole fight, and then he got KO'd. I know that's his decision. They robbed Hernandez of a knockout. He got slammed, KO'd, and that was that. So, yeah, Bondar is a terrible fighter. He is truly terrible. Like, I don't know what the UFC saw in him to give him a contract. Yeah, he won a bunch of fights in a row, but, like, clearly he was fighting cans. 0-2. His best one in this winning streak was 7-1. Come on. But, yeah, this is his last chance, I would say. I'd be shocked if he got another fight after this. He's just a shit fighter. He's 31 years old, and he's shown nothing good in the UFC so far through 2 fights. So, maybe he'll finally show something in this fight, but I have my fucking doubts. Trust me, I have my doubts. So, yeah, Bondar is pretty shitty, and will probably get cut after this. The betting odds for this fight are not what they say on Tabology. That's wrong. Right now, I was looking at them earlier, Luis is about minus 120, 125, which I'm happy he's the favorite, because he should be, but I definitely don't see how he's not a bigger favorite. If he's that, like, if he sucks that bad, then I get it. But if he's, like, even a half-decent fighter, like a Carlos Hernandez, he should be minus 180, 150 in that area. Like, he should. Dennis Bondar is terrible. Like, I'm not really seeing. Like, Luis is the same. Like, a 4-inch reach disadvantage ain't great, but what can you do there? Like, you should easily be able to beat Dennis Bondar. If you can't do that, you fucking suck, bro. So, we'll see what he can do. I have my doubts. Trust me, I do. Very low level flyweight right here. So, yeah. But my pick is going to be the newcomer, Luis Rodríguez. I will never pick Dennis Bondar, and I highly doubt Luis is shit enough to lose to Dennis Bondar, so I'm gonna go Luis Rodríguez. So, yeah. I don't know how he would even lose this fight, because Bondar's not good at anything. Can't strike, can't grapple. Shit gas tank. No chin. Whatever. I'm going Luis to win this fight, and I'm going to go Luis by... decision. I don't feel good picking a finishing method in a low-level fight like this. I'm just going to stick with what I know, and that's a decision. Luis Rodríguez by decision. That's what I'm going to ride with. That's what I feel confident doing. Will he knock out Denny's? Probably. It's not too hard. But, yeah, most likely... Well, no, I am going to go with Luis Rodríguez by decision. So, that's my pick. Don't lose to Dennis Bondar, for fuck's sake. After that, we move up in weight class finally, because we've been in the lower weight classes for the first few fights. And I like the lower weight classes better right now, because, Jesus Christ, what is this shit? Let's get to our fourth fight of the night in the lightweight division between Claudio, Prince of Peru, Puelles versus Faraz, Smile Killer, Ziam. I wanna fucking die. Why the fuck is this a fight, man? This shit sucks. Let's talk about Claudio Puelles. Claudio in the UFC is 5-2, is 5 wins. Felipe Silva, Marcos Marino, Jordan Levitt, Chris Gritzmacher, and Clay Guida. His 2 losses are Martin Bravo and Dan Hooker. He is Paul Craig. A shittier Paul Craig, which I didn't think that was possible, to be honest with you. He's a shittier Paul Craig. Dude cannot strike. All he wants to do is grapple. The Dan Hooker fight was one of the most embarrassing pay-per-view fights I've ever seen. It was on the level of Rose, Esparza, Lewis Ngannou. It was so bad that it was just like, wow, what are you even doing? He's not a fighter, man. He wants to fucking cuddle with you. He doesn't want to fight. It's the most, like, it's a dumb... just like Carlos Vera. Exactly like Carlos Vera last week. They're not fighters. They're little bitches who don't know how to fight. Paul Craig, Claudio Puelles, Carlos Vera, they don't know how to fucking fight. They just know how to do one thing, and that's the only... If they can't do that, you're gonna beat them because they suck at anything else. They should all be cut from UFC, the people who fight like that, and they fucking suck. I have no fucking respect for Puelles as a fighter because he's not a fighter. He's a bitch. End of story. To talk about his opponent, Faraz Ziam. Faraz, not much better, with a great UFC record of 4-2. His 4 wins are Jamie Malarkey, Luigi Van Germini, Michael Figlak, and Jai Herbert. His 2 losses are Don Madej, and T-Rex. Ziam's a little better of a fighter. He's a okay striker. Yeah, that's about all I can say positive. His ground game is not really great. He has some submissions, but he's lengthy as fuck, so... Yeah, he's a pretty shit fighter. His 4 when your best... Like, Malarkey's a good win, but when your other 3 wins are a tomato can, and a tomato can, and you lost to a tomato can, and you got subbed by Terrence McKinney... Like, I like T-Rex. He's a fucking great fighter, cool dude. You should not be getting submitted by Terrence fucking McKinney. He's not very good. He's better than Puelles, because I actually can call him a fighter, because he will fight. He won't lay on his back like a fucking bitch. But he's not a good fighter. So yeah, Ziam, good strike, okay striker, and that's about the nicest thing I will say about him. The betting odds for this fight have Faraz Ziam minus 225 to plus 185. Yeah, I guess. Maybe you can move. I don't love the idea of Ziam minus 200. I'll go Ziam minus 200 on the dot, but even that makes me like, why the fuck is this dude minus 200? He's so bad. But Puelles is worst. Yeah, of course I'm going Ziam in this fight. I do have the worry of him getting subbed, which I do think is very possible. Being a much lengthier dude, Puelles does have better. Maybe I'm stupid, but I feel like he has a better chance of getting the sub. It's a much lengthier dude, especially leg locks. Maybe I'm dumb by saying that, but that's what I feel. And that's all. Like, all Puelles is gonna do is roll around on his fucking back trying to get Aminari rolls, and it's not gonna work. So I thought about what fight I think this is gonna look like, and I brought up Paul Craig earlier. I think it's gonna be just like the Volkan Oezdemir Paul Craig fight. One dude's gonna just be making him stand up over and over again when he falls to his back, and he's gonna win decision. So I think Puelles is going to shit the bed again because he's a shit martial artist. I'm not even gonna call him a fighter. And Ziam should be able to win. Just don't get your fucking ankle snapped, you dumb fuck. So I'm going for Ziam by decision. I don't think he'll be able to finish Puelles. Puelles got finished by body shots and maybe and teep kicks, no less. I don't think Ziam's gonna be able. Maybe Puelles has actually learn how to block a body kick, but I doubt it. So I think Ziam's gonna piece him up for the fight, make him stand up, gas him out. Maybe he'll get a finish, but that's very not Ziam's game. He definitely does not have a killer instinct. So most likely Ziam wins a boring fight, and yeah, that'll be that. For us, Ziam by decision. I don't want to watch this fight. I'm gonna sadly watch this fight. God damn it. After that, not gonna waste time on this. I swear I've broken this fight down 3 fucking times now. I'm just gonna get to the fucking point. Edgar Cháirez is going to beat Daniel Lacerda again, and that Lacerda will finally get cut. I'm going to go for the same thing I picked in the first time they fought, when Cháirez got fucked over. I'm going to pick the same thing I would have picked in their second fight when Lacerda missed weight. I'm going to pick the same thing the third time they fight. Cháirez submission in the first. I don't want to see this fight ever booked again. It shouldn't be booked right now. Edgar should be fighting someone else, because he already won, but the ref doesn't know how to do his fucking job. Edgar Cháirez by submission in the first lock of the night. Fuck Daniel Lacerda. After that, we stay 4 flyweight fights. Jesus Christ. And the 5th one has... God damn, man. I did not even think about that till right now. 5 flyweight fights. Jesus. We head to our 6th fight of the night, I believe. Yes. Our 6th fight of the night in the flyweight division again, as we have Jesus Aguilar versus Mateus Mendonça. This fight's okay, not the worst flyweight fight on the card, but definitely no amazing one. Could be fun though. So let's talk about Jesus Aguilar. Jesus in UFC is 1-1. In his UFC debut coming out to Contender Series, he got subbed by Tatsuro Taira. No shame in that. And then in his last fight, he knocked out Shannon Ross in 17 seconds, one of the best KOs of the year last year. Jesus is good. He's very small. I think he has the shortest reach in the UFC. He's 5'4", but he makes up for how he fights. He's very aggressive. He has power. He's a decent striker. He's a decent fighter. Like, I guess very Andrade-like how he makes up for his lack there of height by being aggressive. And he's not as good as Andrade, of course, but he definitely kind of reminds me of Andrade, a little pit bull, little fucking Terminator. And yeah, Jesus is decent. He found a way to make up for his lack of height with how he fights, which I don't know how more short fighters don't do that. But yeah, he's decent, especially riding all the momentum coming off a great finish against Ross, who, yes, Ross is a joke, but still, to ride that momentum is very good. And to ride that momentum into a fight where you're not fighting someone very good and at home, there's a lot of positives going into this fight for Jesus, and I definitely think he'll channel them to maybe get the win. So, yeah, Jesus is good, and let's see how he does in this fight, coming off a great knockout. To talk about his opponent, Mateus Mendonça, another dude who is 1-1 in UFC. Oh no, he's 0-2, my bad. He's 0-2. I just got mixed up because, yeah. He also is coming off Contender Series in his UFC debut. He fought Javid Basharat at bantamweight. He got beat up. He didn't look terrible in that fight, but he looked as good as you can look against Javid Basharat. And then in his last fight, late last year, he got pretty much embarrassed by Naimov. Like, that fight only went 4 minutes and 40 seconds into round 1, and Mendonça was dead tired. All the dude wanted to do was fucking grab Magnus's legs. Like, he thought he was gonna get a fucking ankle lock when he was just getting punched in the face and body. It's one of the shittiest performances I can remember from last year, because he just looked like a fucking joke against Nate Maness. Come on. Now he's actually getting a step up in competition. I think Jesus is better than Nate Maness, and yeah, it's probably gonna go pretty bad. I don't think maybe he's learned his lesson and hey, maybe I shouldn't just let myself get punched and as I go for shitty leg locks, but maybe he's stupid. So he trained to shoot the box, which is a great camp for most fighters. But we'll see. I guess, like I said, we'll just see. Not really much else to say. Should be, he needs this win or he's gonna be joining the chopping block. So, sorry about that. So, we'll see what happens. The betting odds, they're not this wide, but Jesus is a little underdog. I think he's about like plus 110 to like minus 130. I don't know what the betting odds, what the betting makers are saying here. Jesus should be the favorite here. I'd have Jesus like minus 170, 180, even 190. Like, what has Mendonça done to be a favorite? Jesus has riding all the momentum. He's coming off a good win. Mendonça just got embarrassed in his last fight, moving down to flyweight. When I don't even think he's a fucking flyweight, to be honest. I think he's a bantamweight who's just trying to get the advantage. So, there's just not many positives in this fight for Mendonça, and I don't think he will win this fight. I really don't get the betting odds here. Maybe Mendonça will prove me wrong, but I don't see why he's a favorite. I don't even think the betting odds should be close. Like I said, minus 190, you could put Jesus. So, I'm very confused by these betting odds, but I'm probably wrong, but I doubt it. Fuck, I think Jesus is a pretty good bet. Like, I don't advise anyone to bet off what I say, but if I did, Jesus is right there. That's especially if the odd, like, if you could have got Jesus at this number, because they have shrunken, dude, that's a pretty good bet. Maybe I'm stupid, but that's what I think. So, yeah, my pick here is going to be Jesus Aguilar. I think he will be able to win this fight. My question is just how? Probably a decision. I think he's just going to fight smart. Maybe he'll get a finish. I don't think he's going to go to the ground with Mendonça. I think he'll just try and fight smart, and he'll get the win. So I'm going Jesus Aguilar by decision. Should not be the hardest night for him. So, yeah. Aguilar by decision. And now we go into our prelim main event of the evening. Our featured prelim. And it's a decent fight, even if it makes no sense by, well, actually, looking at this, yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense by matchmakers. As in our featured prelim in the bantamweight division, no big weight classes on this card, I've noticed. We have Cristian Problema Quiñonez versus Raoni Barcelos. This could be a fun fight. Let's talk about Quiñonez. Cristian in UFC is 1-1 in his UFC debut, coming off Contender Series. He knocked out Claudio. He looked good in that fight, but it was Claudio. And then in his last fight, late last year, he got subbed by Kung Ho Kang. He dropped Kang, but then he did the young dude mistake, especially against a veteran. He got over aggressive, and that got him submitted. So Quiñonez is a fine fighter, I guess. Like he didn't look completely terrible in that Kang fight, but you should. He made a rookie mistake against a veteran you can't make. Maybe he'll learn from his mistake. He needs to. We'll see, but even then, to get beat by Kung Ho Kang is a very bad L. So he's really need to bounce back here. So I won't count him out just yet. I won't write him off as a fighter yet, but we'll see, because again, Kung Ho Kang, that's not a great look, brother. You know. But they've been throwing him right into the deep end since, like, Taha ain't the easiest debut. Kung Ho Kang as your second UFC fight, now Raoni Barcelos. UFC, giving this dude some big fights, even if this Barcelos fight is maybe a little bit too big of a jump after a loss, no less, but what do I know? And then to talk about his opponent, Raoni Barcelos, a dude with a very long record, something rare to see on this prelims, as in UFC alone, he is 6-4. Some of his best wins in UFC are Kurt Halava, who just won tough, Said Nurmagomedov, Khalil Taha, coincidentally, Chris Gutierrez. So yeah, to have wins over Gutierrez and Said Nurmagomedov, those are some great wins, but they were in 2018, 2019. His losses: Timur Valiev, Victor Henry, Umar Nurmagomedov, and Kyler Phillips. He started off his UFC run really hot. Like, I remember how hyped he was after the Taha fight. People were saying about him fighting O'Malley, him beating this, and how he would do against this fighter. Like, I literally remember saying he would beat Sean O'Malley. He wouldn't, but still. But then I feel like everything fell apart after the Timur fight. He got completely destroyed by Timur. Then Victor Henry completely destroyed him on short notice. He was able to beat Trevin Jones, but it's Trevin Jones, who sucks. Then Umar flatlined him last year. And then he had he didn't look terrible against Kyler, but he definitely lost, I feel. And now he's going into this fight with a 1-5 record and a 1-4 record in his last 5, and he needs this win. If he loses this fight, I think it's the time for the retirement block. He's 36 years old. The good thing, unlike what's-his-face earlier on the prelims, Erik Silva, he is fighting consistently, so he's not getting rusty at his old age. But I definitely think there's a con to that, being he is taking a lot of damage. His chin is definitely getting weaker. He got dropped against Kyler. He got flatlined against Umar. So Victor Henry put a lot of damage on him. So he's definitely just been taking a lot of damage in the UFC career, and it looks to be catching up to him in his older age. He's still a good fighter. Like, even at 36 years old, he's still looking good. Like I said, against Kyler, he didn't look bad. But ever since that Timur fight, it just seems like he's really just, I don't know, it's really weird. He's just really been not himself. Like, again, he's old, but he was old, like, against fucking Taha. He was, like, 33. So it's not like he's, like, when he joined the UFC, he wasn't no fucking spring chicken. He was already 31 when he joined the UFC, so. Yeah, maybe he'll be able to turn back the clock here. On paper, maybe he should be able to, but we'll see. But he really needs this win. If he doesn't win here, it's probably over for Raoni. I don't see, either he gets cut or he retires. So, we'll see what happens. The betting odds for this fight of Raoni Barcelos minus 175 to plus 145. Yeah, I don't hate those odds. I definitely would move Raoni down as a favorite. I would have Raoni more, maybe minus 130, 135 to plus 110. I think Raoni should be a favorite, but there's definitely some worries. If that chin gets clipped, he's probably going to get knocked out, especially by a guy like Cristian. But if he can drag this fight into the deeper rounds, into the second round, let's see how Cristian holds up. Because he's not really been in many second rounds in his UFC career, because he's been in 0. Yeah, he's won some decisions, but like, let's see how Cristian does in these second and third rounds. Yeah, Hani's gonna gas also, but he's well, actually Cristian has a very as long of a record. So I'm trying to make cases for both guys. This is a close fight. This is a very close fight. After, like, when I first saw this fight earlier in the week, I was like, yeah, Hani should win, but it's definitely closer than it looks. I'm still going to pick Hani. I think the veteran can turn back the clock here and just do some veteran shit to Cristian. But I definitely have my worries. Like I said, if he gets KO'd, I won't be shocked. But I also can see him, like, maybe just surviving round 1, getting round 2 and 3, and winning. So, gonna be a good fight. I think this is going to be a very fun fight. And let's see what happens. I'm going to go Hani Barcelos. I'm not picking with the most confidence here, since he's fighting a dude who's 9 years younger and a power puncher. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm going to go Hani. One last win, because I feel like if he wins this fight, he'll probably fight someone better and lose. But I'm going to say he gets another one here. Hani Barcelos by decision. Let's see if Grandpa can turn back the clock. Those are the prelims. Not bad prelims. I had Mexico versus Brazil 3 times in a row. Didn't even 4 times if you can. So that's funny. But yeah, pretty decent prelims if you take out this garbage, and this should not even be happening. And this ain't the greatest fight in the world, but this is decent. This could be fun maybe, and then these two could be fun fights. So not bad prelims. But now we head to the main card, which is actually a really good main card. A pretty good main card, and especially with the main card opener, which is going to be a banger. We head to lightweight for a fight that almost promises a knockout, as we begin the main card with Manuel El Loco Torres versus Chris the Problem Duncan. What a fun fight this is going to be. Let's talk about Manuel Torres. Manuel in the UFC is 2-0, coming out to Contender Series. In his UFC debut, he knocked out Frank Camacho, and in his last fight last year, he had easily one of the best KOs of the year, knocking out Nicolas Mota, and one of the most vicious knockouts of the year. So, yeah, he's looked pretty much flawless in the UFC so far. 2 knockouts in the first round. He's looked great. 5 knockouts in a row. They're looking great. Definitely a prospect I'm keeping my eye on. So, and I know those wins ain't great. Camacho sucks, and Mota ain't no world beater, but still, they're not terrible. I've seen fucking worse 2-fight winning streaks in the UFC. So, yeah, he's good. He's really good. And he's down for a brawl, man. That Mota fight, for as short as it was, they traded, and then he just landed that kill shot. So, I think Manuel's definitely a very interesting prospect, especially if he wins this week. I think we'll get people talking, because I think more people should be talking about him. But, let's see what he can do in a step up. This is definitely his hardest fight in the UFC. And let's see how he does at home, opening up the main card. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. I'm excited. Let's see how Manuel does. A guy who I've been very impressed with so far in his UFC run. So, yeah. Sorry about that. I don't know how loud that is in the mic. To talk about his opponent, Chris Duncan. Chris in the UFC is also 2-0 in his UFC coming off Contender Series on his second try. In his UFC debut, he beat Omar Morales. He wrestled him for 15 minutes in a pretty lame fight, disappointing performance. And then in his last fight against Ash Moose, he won again, but it wasn't impressive. Yeah, I'm the complete opposite of. I feel the complete opposite for Duncan's 2 fights that I do for Manuel, so I'm not impressed. He wrestled Omar for 15 minutes. Like, yeah, he clearly won. The split decision was stupid, but yeah, not impressed. And then against Yarnall, yeah, he won striking, but Yarnall was like a one-arm fighter for like 2 rounds or some shit. I forget when he got hurt. But, like, Omar really fucked up his arm in like the second round or some shit. Maybe it was even the first round, and Duncan couldn't finish him? A one-arm fighter? Come on. Like, I don't think Duncan's a bad fighter, but ever since he got to UFC, he's really been fighting smarter, which is lame because that's boring, and he's not even that good at fighting smarter. I feel like if he fought like himself in these two fights, he probably would have got finishes. Omar is old as dirt, and he probably would have easily finished. And fucking Yarnall with one arm, he would have finished. So I don't know. I'm not impressed with Duncan so far in his UFC run, and I'm very interested to see how he does in this fight, because Manuel's gonna make him fight. You ain't gonna be able to fucking fight like a bitch in this fight. You're gonna fight, and I'm very interested to see how that goes. So I'm excited. I'm very excited. The betting odds for this fight are, I know on Tapology they say what they say, they're wrong. Manuel has now jumped to about a minus, I think like minus 130, 140. I have Manuel about 140, 150. I think he should be a little favorite, but no giant favorite. This is a very dangerous matchup for both guys. But it's going to be a fun one. Like I said, I think a knockout is almost promised with these two, and I think it's going to be a fun one, man. I'm very excited. Who am I picking here? I'm going to go Manuel Torres. I think he'll be able to hit that kill shot on Duncan, and like Slava Claus did on Contender Series, and send Duncan out cold. So, should be a fun one. And I'm going to stick with the prospect who's actually impressed me so far, and who looks to be a really good prospect. And that is Manuel Torres. So I'm going to El Loco by knockout in the first. Should be a fun main card opener. Not really much else to say about this fight. I know it was a really quick breakdown for this fight, but not really much to say about a banger like that. So, Manuel knockout in the first. After that, we head to our second fight of the night, the only female fight of the night, and should be a pretty decent fight. As we head to women's strawweight division for a fun fight between Yazmin Jauregui versus Sam Page Hughes. Let's start off by talking about Yazmin Jauregui. Yazmin in UFC is 2-1. In her first two UFC fights, she looked amazing, beating Aspen Lucindo in a banger, and Estela Nunes in a banger. And then her last fight, she got beat by Denise Gomes in 20 seconds. Anyone who's writing Yazmin off after the Gomes fight is an idiot. She is still a great fighter. She just got caught by another great fighter in Denise Gomes. Like, I have complete faith in Yazmin to bounce back, because again, she's a great fighter, 24 years old. All great fighters have fucking take a loss early in their career, or something, like, fucking, I feel like you're riding off Yazmin for losing to a good, she didn't lose to a shit fighter, she didn't lose to Estela Nunes, or something like that, she lost to Denise Gomes, who's pretty good. So, I definitely think riding off Yazmin is going to be a big mistake by people, and I definitely think she'll be able to get the win here and bounce back, because she's a great fighter. She's an amazing striker, which is no shocker if you look at the female Mexicans in UFC. Apparently, I don't know what. Apparently, you're just born a great striker. Irene, Grasso, now Yazmin. Three amazing strikers, some of the best strikers in the fucking UFC. Her ground game, Yazmin's ground game's not terrible. Her gas tank's good. She just got clipped by Gomes, who hits hard as fuck, might I add. So, yeah, Yazmin's going to bounce back, and she's going to look good. So, whatever. People are weird. To talk about her opponent, Sam Hughes. Sam in UFC is 3-4. How the fuck has she got so many UFC fights? Her 3 wins are Estela Nunes, Elise Reed, and Jacqueline Amorim. Her 4 losses are Tisha Torres, Luma Luke Bumi, Luana Pinheiro, and Piara Rodríguez. She's the most, average fighter imaginable. She can beat these shit fighters like Reed and Amorim, but she can't beat Pinheiro, Luma, Piara, or Tisha. So, and she's not even looked bad in those fights. Against Piara, she didn't look terrible. Against Luma, she didn't look terrible. She looked pretty, and actually against Luana, she didn't look terrible, but Luana's not a very good fighter. Tisha was the one where she just got her ass beat, so no shocker there. she's just no fucking great fighter. It's as simple as that, to be honest. She's not even a good gatekeeper, because that's not even the right term. She's just the most average fighter imaginable. So, like, she's no pushover, but she's a pushover if you're a good fighter. If you're a shit fighter, you're gonna lose. So, yeah, not much to say about Sam Hughes. She's just not great, but she's not bad. Average. Simple. Her ground game, her wrestling's good. Her cardio's not terrible. Her striking's pretty bad. So, yeah, not very much to say. The betting odds have Yazmin Jauregui minus 470 to plus 350. Yeah, you could have Yazmin. Yeah, I think that's the perfect odds. I think 500 is a little much, but I think 470, 480. That sounds good. As I've said, Yazmin should be able to bounce back here. If she loses this fight, you can start writing her off as like a bum, fraud, whatever. Not yet. Not yet. After she wins this fight, she's right back on the train, starts up again. She's a very, very, very good fighter, and I'm very excited to see how she bounces back after her first career loss. I think she's going to bounce back in a good way, and I'm going to say Yazmin Jauregui by decision. Sam is very tough. I don't know if Yazmin will finish her. I'm going to say she probably doesn't. I say she puts on a masterclass though. 30-27, 30-26 even. Yazmin Jauregui by decision. Let's go. After that, we head to our third fight of the main card, and this fight could be very fun in the bantamweight division. In my opinion, the third best fight of the card outside the main co, as we have a banger between Raul El Nino Problema Rosas Jr. versus Pretty Ricky Turcios. This is going to be a fun fight. I can't wait. This fight is going to be really fun, I feel. Let's talk about Raul Rosas. Quagmire, Jandiroba's brother or son. Ugly motherfucker, but he's a good fighter. Raul in the UFC is 2-1. His 2 wins are coming off Contender Series, like most of them. His 2 wins in the UFC are Jay Perrin and Terrence Mitchell, and his 1 loss is to Cristian Rodríguez. Against Perrin and Mitchell, he's just a way better fighter than those two, and thankfully he showed striking against Terrence. Against C-Rod, he got pushed too quickly. On the main card of a big pay-per-view, it was too much for him. C-Rod's whatever. But the moment really got to him. He just looked like shit. But again, in the next fight, he looked good again, so yeah. The youngest fighter on the UFC roster at 19 years old. The kid has so much potential, it's fucking stupid. The kid's in the UFC at 19 years old, and he's already 3-1, probably gonna, or 2-1, probably gonna be 3-1. Like, dude, he's so much potential. So much fucking potential. So, and his grappling is really fucking good. It's his striking that's the problem, and the good thing, as I've said in his last fight, he did show some striking, which was nice to see. Yes, it wasn't much. He pretty much just threw a big shot that thankfully landed. But still, that's better than what we've seen in his first 2 fights. Against Perrin, I don't know if he even threw a punch. Against Rodríguez, he looked like complete shit. So, and against fucking Mando on the Contender Series, he looked like shit at striking. Because all he can do is grapple. But he is getting better. Like, dude, again, the kid is literally 19 fucking years old. Like, he's gonna get better. He's not gonna be goddamn the best fighter. He's not gonna be his best form at 19. He probably won't even be his best form for 10 more years. But to get this experience now in the UFC on these big cards is good for him. Dude, I think the sky's the limit for Raul. So, let's just see what he can do. I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how he bounces back, what he does. I'm excited, and I think they give him a very fun matchup to show what he can do, so let's see what he can do. To talk about his opponent, Ricky Turcios, another guy I'm a fan of, just his UFC run has been annoying. Ricky is 2-1 in the UFC after winning TUF. In the TUF finale, he beat Brady Houston, a banger fight. But then he won TUF, and a year later he made his first UFC fight since TUF. And he looked like a joke against Ayman Zahabi. He didn't even fight. And then against Kevin Natividad, he looked like shit and barely won that fight. So, the good thing he's been off for a year to get better, but he definitely needs to look better than he has, because again, he looked like shit in his last 2 fights. Like, you had to go to a split decision with Kevin Natividad, like, and a very questionable split decision, and I'm a fan of Ricky, but that was a questionable decision, so, like, I don't know what happened it's the same shit that happened with Juliana Miller. Ever since they won Tough, they've just looked like shit. Brady on Tough was fucking fun, aggressive, entertaining, looked great, even, and against, like, ever since this fight, he's lost that. He's lost that fucking fun fight. Against the Hobby, he didn't fight. Against Natividad, he looked like shit. I don't get why 2 fighters who won Tough recently have now looked like shit. A couple of them have looked consistently good. Brian Battle is probably the top one that comes to mind, but then again, what the fuck? And it's not like they're fucking... It's not like they're even fighting good fighters. They're literally just fighting worse. Ricky went from a fun, crazy fighter to now trying to be Mr. Technical, which is not gonna fucking work, because that's not who Ricky Turcios is. If Ricky Turcios wants to get back on track and looking good, he has to fight like Ricky Turcios. I don't know who told him to fight more like a fucking technical dude, but they're a fucking idiot, because that's not who Ricky Turcios is. So, hopefully, this 1.5 years off has told him to get back to his roots, and hopefully in this fight he comes out and looks like Ricky Turcios. So, gonna be a fun fight if he comes in like himself. If he comes in like the guy we've seen in the last 2 fights, in his last 2 UFC fights, I think he's gonna get beat pretty easily. So, I'm excited for this fight, but Ricky has to look like Ricky. The betting odds for this fight have Raul minus 260 to plus 210. I agree to an extent. I might move Raul down to maybe minus 230, but even then, that's whatever. I do think Raul will win this fight, even no matter how Ricky comes in. I think if Ricky comes in like Ricky, he'll definitely make Raul fight a fight he's not had yet, a brawl. But I don't think he'll beat Raul. Ricky's ground game is very bad. His takedown defense is bad. His striking, he'll win, but I definitely think if he hasn't got his ground game better, he will lose this fight. If in the last 1.5 years he's got better, if he's fixed his ground game and is starting to fight like himself again, he could win this fight, and I would not be that shocked if he did, if he looked like that. But if he looks like Ricky we've seen the last 2 fights and with still no ground game, he's gonna get beat. So, yeah, this fight should be fun. I'm excited. So who am I going to pick here? I'm going to go Raul Rosas to get the win here, and I'm going to go by submission. I think he'll be able to get on Ricky's back eventually and get a sub. And I'm going to go Raul by submission in the second. Should not be the hardest. The takedown should not be too hard for Raul. I think he'll be able to get him at a pretty decent rate. If Raul goes in here trying to strike, then that could be really interesting. But most likely Raul's going to fight smart and just get takedowns and win. So, I don't know, this fight could go many ways, but I think Raul, it might be fun for the first few minutes, but then Raul's going to shoot. So, I'm excited. I'm going to Raul Rosas by submission in the second. Let's see what happens. This could be a really fun fight. After that, we head to our 4th fight of the main card, and another fight that could be a fucking war, and probably will be, as we head to lightweight for a banger in at 155 between Daniel Golden Boy Zellhuber versus Francisco Prado. This is gonna be a banger. No question, it's gonna be a banger. Let's talk about Zellhuber. Zellhuber in the UFC is 2-1, my bad. 2-1. Coming off the Contender Series in the UFC debut, he looked like a joke against Trey Ogden because he just did not fight. But ever since that fight, he's bounced back with 2 wins last year, beating Lando and Christos Giagos. Against Lando, he looked better, but he still didn't look that good. And against Giagos, he looked really good. Like, he had some bad moments in that fight, but he definitely looked better. And he got to finish, and that was no Che UFC, so... yeah, so he was a weird fighter. He's never heard of head movement, I'll start by saying that. But he has good kicks, his striking's good, but he's still very green. You can even see it in the win. Like, against Giagos, he looks very green. He ate a lot of shots. He has problems deciding on what he'll do next. He can't, like, sometimes he's a counter fighter, sometimes he's the aggressor, sometimes he tries to do both. So he's a weird fighter, but he has talent, but he's still very young and he's still kind of green. So maybe he's gotten better since his last fight. We'll see. But yeah, so Hubers definitely I'm still not completely sold on, but maybe he'll shut me up this fight. This is a good test for him. I think this is his best opponent to date, and we'll see how he does. We'll see how he fucking does. To talk about his opponent, Francisco Prado. Prado in UFC is 1-1 in his UFC debut. He came in on short notice and lost to Jamie Malarkey, a name we've heard a lot tonight. Heard a lot in this video. And then in his last fight, he knocked out Akmen Azaitar in a fun fight. Prado's a pretty good fighter. He's a fun fighter. And only has fun fights. Like in the UFC debut against Jamie, he didn't look bad. He actually looked pretty good. But he still clearly lost. But again, it was short notice, and fuck, on a full camp, he could win that fight. To be honest, Jamie's chin is fucking garbage. I could see a world if that fight was a full camp, I could see Prado knocking out Jamie. But then in his last fight, he did have a full camp and he looked really good against Azaitar, who, yes, Azaitar is terrible, but still, he looked pretty good. And I definitely am interested to see how he does in a step up in competition against Huber. So, two very young fighters here, 24 and 21 respectively. Big height difference, 6'1", 5'11", big reach advantage. Like, of course, though Huber's gonna want to fight at range in this fight, no fucking hiding that. But if Prado can get on the inside, what will happen? And who's better on the ground? That's another thing to factor in. Like, Prado has, like, I think 6 submissions, so Huber has 3. This is gonna be interesting. I'm very excited for this fight. It should be a banger. We'll see what happens. The betting odds have Huber minus 260 to plus 210. I disagree. I would have Huber maybe minus 150. I think this fight's way closer than people think. Striking wise alone, both guys have their pros and cons. And then on the ground, Prado might be better on the ground. Who has a better gas tank? I think both guys have good gas tanks. I think Prado's might be better. So, a lot of things factor into this fight, and I'm very torn on this fight, to be honest. I'm not really sure. This is probably the hardest fight on a card to pick. In my opinion, at least. I think it's two very good young lightweights who are going to put on a banger, but who comes out on top? I'm going to say, fuck it, I'm going to go with what my gut's been telling me. I'm going to go Francisco Prado. I know that's probably not going to be a very liked pick. I might not be the best pick even. But I don't know why, you just have this feeling Prado can win this fight. So Huber does not know what head movement is. I feel like Prado can get on the inside and start hitting him, maybe even hurt him, take it to the ground. I don't know why, I have the feeling. I feel like Huber will probably be that one, like, because so far I picked a Mexican to win 3 fights in a row. There's gonna be one of these Mexicans on this main card to lose. I think Huber's gonna be it. I think Huber is gonna be that one to lose, and I think Prado's gonna be that one to give him that L. So I'm going with Francisco Prado by decision. I'm not very confident, but I think it could happen. I have a feeling. I'm gonna go with that feeling. Prado by decision. Will I look dumb by the end of that fight? Yes. Can't wait. But I'm gonna go Prado by decision. I'll see what happens. And now we get to the big dogs, the big fights. And we start off with a fight that will be really fun in the featherweight division, a rematch of a fight that did not have a real winner in the first fight. A shoulder injury is not a real win. As we go into the featherweight division for our co-main event of the evening, Yair El Pantera Rodríguez versus Brian T. City Ortega. This is going to be a fun fight. Ortega doesn't have bad fights. Yair doesn't have bad fights. This is going to be fun in Mexico City. Let's see what happens. Not really gonna go too in-depth on Yair. We all know Yair by now. Jesus fucking Christ, it's Yair Rodríguez. he's Yair. He has fun fights. He knows what he's doing. He's one of the best strikers in UFC. His ground game's not terrible. He's just a really good fighter. Yeah, in the last couple fights, like, yeah, he lost to Volk, but that's fucking Volk. I'm interested, like, in the first fight of Ortega, he was easily beating him on his feet, which is not sure. Ortega is not known for blocking punches, but Ortega is definitely, no pushover. Like, on the ground, yes, Yair did throw up the submissions and all that, but you don't want to play on the ground with Brian Ortega. Like, I don't think you do. Maybe Yair does. I don't think that's a smart idea. Yair most likely would just be able to be the better striker here, but before I get too far into that, let's not count out T-City, and let's not even forget who T-City is. Ortega's not a bad fighter. I feel like people have this fucking narrative that he's a bad fighter and he's just a punching bag. He's a great fighter. Yes, his striking's not good, but his ground game's, he's an amazing fucking grappler. And dude, his heart is unmatched. I think his fucking heart is easily maybe one of the most insane hearts we've ever seen in UFC. The Max fight showed that. The Volk fight showed that. God damn. He's no joke, and I feel like it's a shame. I said this on Twitter, and I've been saying this for a while now. It's a shame that he doesn't fight enough, because, like, do I think he would be a champion? No, the Volk fight showed that. But, fuck, do I think... Dude, if he actually fought consistently, he could have had like 4 bangers in the time, in those times he's been off. Dude, he's had 3 fights in the 2020s. Like, what the fuck? Like, I get the shoulder injury in 2022. You could have probably fought last year, dog. So, I get the Volk fight. You took a lot of damage. You could have probably fought way earlier in 2022. The zombie, well, you tore your ACL. Okay, you tore your ACL. You took a long break. The zombie fight, you didn't fucking take much damage. You could have easily fought again. I don't know. Ortega's annoying because he's not fucking fighting. But when he does fight, he's really good. Yes, his striking defense is shit, but he can take damage. The dude's chin is insane. Look at the Vulcan Max fight. So, when you're only 2 losses in the UFC, I'm not counting this. When your only 2 losses in the UFC are Vulcan Max and very good fights, fuck, he was like a favorite to beat. Ortega's a weird case, man. I think he is a very talented fighter that just needs to fight. I pray this is like well, I'm not gonna say like Paul. I pray this is like the start of him actually fighting. If he can fight 2 more times this year, even 1 more time this year after this, that'd be amazing. Because he's not had more than 1 fight in a year since 2018. So I hope he's still 33, which yeah, that's getting old, but he's not old yet. He's not really old yet. So, and he literally just turned 33 yesterday. So, happy birthday, Ortega. I get why people think Ortega's a joke, because he doesn't fight and he has lost a lot more than he's won lately. But I don't want to count out T-City, man. I think he's still a great fighter who, I don't know, it's weird, it's fucking weird for Ortega, man, it's really weird, and we'll see what happens. I'm very excited for this fight. I think it can go many ways, and let's see what happens. The betting after this fight have Yair Rodríguez minus 165 to plus 135. Yeah, I don't think that's crazy. I'm shocked Yair ain't a bigger favorite. Most likely what's going to happen is Yair is going to piece him up on the feet for 25 minutes. Yes, it's a 5-round fight for some reason. But I don't want to count out T-City like that, man. Fuck, I don't know. Like, my heart is saying Ortega, my brain is saying Yair, and I think Yair will win. But the only time I've ever picked against Ortega was the zombie fight, and I was dumb back then. I think Ortega is such a talented fighter. I want to see Ortega win, man. I want to see Ortega get the win. Fuck it. I'm going Brian Ortega. I don't think he's gonna win. I'm putting my pick in as Ortega. I'm giving him one last fucking chance. If he even looks good in this fight and loses, I'm happy. But he needs to fucking show something in this fight. And I think it's really interesting to talk about what happens if he does lose this fight. Because I think there's some definitely interesting questions to be asked. But as of right now, the only question I'm asking is, will Ortega at least put up a fight? Because in that first fight, he wasn't putting up a fight. Can he put up a fight this time? I'm on Brian Ortega by decision. Yair's really tough. I don't know if he'll finish him. I don't know if Yair will tap to a submission, to be honest. Has Yair ever been submitted in the UFC? Nope. I'm going Brian Ortega. I don't know why. My heart's telling me Ortega. I'm a fan of Ortega. I'm going Brian Ortega by decision. Let's see if T-City still got it in him. Ortega by decision. And now for the main event of the evening. Another fucking rematch, which I'm not shocked to buy, because it's Brand Moreno. In the flyweight division to cap off UFC Mexico. Should be a fun fight, even though I wish it was a different fight. As we have Brandon, the assassin baby, Moreno, versus Brandon, Raw Dog Royval. Can Moreno fight someone else for once? Fuck, man. Why did Albazi have to pull out, man? I want that. I would rather see that fight, because at least it's something different. God damn it. Why the fuck did Royval have to step in? Could have been Cop, or anyone else? Mukayev? Fucking anyone? Ugh. I like Royval, man. I want to watch this. I want to watch Moreno fight someone different. Whatever. Not gonna talk much about the fight. You know both guys. This is a rematch from their fight a few years ago in 2020, I believe, where Raw Dog hurt his shoulder, dislocated shoulder, kind of like Ortega, funny enough, and he got finished. Yeah, I think this is a decent rematch. Should be a fun fight, but God, it's so fucking annoying. Moreno, we all know Brand Moreno. Do we need to say anything else? I'm shocked he ain't getting another title shot just because. So, I don't know. I'm excited for this fight and I'm not excited for this fight at the same time. Like, the only reason I'm kind of excited for this fight, because at least it's in Mexico. The crowd's gonna be on fire. It's gonna be fun to watch Brandon. But goddamn, man, what the fuck? Fight someone else. I'll just get to the point. The betting odds have Brand Moreno minus 250 to plus 205. Yeah, you could move Moreno up to 300. He should win this fight pretty easily. Raw Dog is a fun fighter, but do I think Raw Dog's gonna knock out Moreno? No. So he's gonna lose. Like, that fight against Pantoja for Royval was a joke. He looked like a fucking joke. If Moreno wants to, he can easily just wrestle him for 25 minutes. Royval has no idea how to stop a takedown. So, and he's not gonna, in 2 months, has he got better? No! So, I don't know. I'm not looking forward to this fight, and I am at the same time. Moreno's gonna win. So, I don't know. I don't know, man. Please don't give the winner a title shot. They don't fucking deserve it. It's my main problem. Because I know the winner of this fight is going to get a title shot. It's going to be fucking stupid. So, whatever. Brand Moreno's going to win this fight. Probably a fun decision. And going to be a fun way to end this card. So, I'm going Brand Moreno by decision. Unless he gets KO'd, he'll win this fight. It's going to be a fun fight. Don't give the winner a title shot. They don't deserve it. That's what I gotta say about that. Boom. Those are my picks. To go over them one last time. Muhammad Naimov by knockout in the second. Felipe dos Santos by decision. Luis Rodríguez by decision. Ziam by decision. Edgar Cháirez, lock of the night by submission in the first. Jesus Aguilar by decision. Barcelos by decision. Manuel Torres by knockout in the first. Yazmin Jauregui by decision. Raul Rosas Jr. by submission in the second. Francisco Prado by decision. Brian Ortega by decision. And Brand Moreno by decision. Bang. Yeah, it's a fun card. Like, to have these two fights on a fight night, it's really fun. The rest of the main card is really fun. Prelims have a couple gems on them. So it'll be a fun card. I do think the card could be a little more stacked, for the big return to Mexico. Like, fuck, I think it would have been better if this card was, like, later in the year. If this was even 301, you could have Grasso defend the title, you could have Irene Aldana, you could have Tracy Cortez, Lupe Godinez, but whatever, still a really fun card, and it's gonna be fun. The crowd's gonna be amazing. Mexico City's gonna be on fire for Yair, for Moreno. Ortega's Mexican too, so fucking Raul, Yazmin, Manuel, they're gonna be on fire all night. Will they always get their way? No, but I don't know. I hope we don't see biased judging. That's another thing else around here. We know if they go somewhere, especially with hometown favorites, and especially a whole card full of them, they get very biased. Don't be biased as card judges. Whoever wins the fight wins the fight. Don't be dumb fucks. So, whatever. But I'm gonna stop fucking rambling and say, I hope you enjoyed the video. You'll hear from me Sunday, 1 p.m. EST for a recap of this card. And, yeah, unless I'm going to say something, I'm excited for this card. Should be fun. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe. 100 subs go by the end of the year. And as always, RX out. Good vibes only and always.